Welcome to the Marshall Pruitt Podcast and our Catching Up interview series. We have Katherine Legge here. Spoke with her a couple of days ago leading into NASCAR ARCA this week. Lots of fun stuff for her. Start off the conversation talking about her sponsor, e.l.f. Eyes, Lips, and Face. Transformative partnership between Kat and e.l.f. So that takes up a lot of the conversation, talking about everything they did in IndyCar and what e.l.f. continues to support in her life and career. Then we do get into stock car ambitions, IndyCar ambitions, getting back to the Indy 500 again, maybe even trying to do the old double on the same day there in May. So big thanks to Kat for taking some time here. Huge thanks as well to our partners, the Justice Brothers, makers of mighty fine automotive chemicals and lubricants, TorontoMotorsports.com, purveyors of great modern racing memorabilia, and Fell Motorsports and their Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin. Big thanks to those three. And also, we have our own The Pruitt Store that you might check out. A lot of my own racing memorabilia, things I've kept, things I'm trying to sell, a bunch of show stickers and other fun things, all trying to put towards a house fund to move into something, buy and move into something, hopefully later this year. So let's get rolling with our friend Katherine Legge. Wide-ranging interview here, also talking about her new podcast. She is a gem. She is doing a lot of big things, y'all. Let's go, Katherine Legge. You are indeed undergoing what I think is one of the coolest, I don't know if I call it career revelations, rejuvenations. A veteran like yourself, been in the sport, seemingly done everything, seen everything. Normally, when you're at that phase of a driver's career, opportunities get taken away, right? You do the one thing you've been doing, but eventually someone says, maybe we'll have someone else do that. It's been the story in racing forever. I look at you and say, okay, we know you are doing tons of stuff now. I think a lot of it was sparked, by the way, Kat, this amazing union between yourself and the e.l.f. folks, Eyes, Lips, and Face, last year at the Indy 500. Revolutionary approach to what they did at the track with activation. Your program with Dale Coyne Racing had so many eyeballs on it, big things. It seems to me, maybe this is the place where we start, that this is the springboard for so many things that have come afterwards, whether it's ARCA, whether it's the Chili Bowl. You've got a podcast now. I think you were just on a daytime show yesterday. Like, it's all Kat, 24-hour-a-day stuff going on. It seems like that pivots from this great relationship with a great race car sponsor, but personal sponsor of yours. Tell us about that. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of truth in that. e.l.f. rejuvenated my career to a certain extent. Well, what it did was, I think it allowed me to be myself and pursue my dreams. Like, it sounds incredibly cliche, but I had always tried to do the girl power thing. I'd always tried to do the girl power thing. I wanted to spark change in racing. I wanted to do it in a way that felt authentic. But I was just being, another race car driver. I wanted to be taken seriously. I didn't want to completely play the girl card, but I wanted to recognize it in the right way. And I'd been trying to do that for like a decade maybe, and it just wasn't happening for me, whether I teamed up with the wrong people or we didn't have the right people behind it to market it and push it. And then e.l.f. came on board for Indy 2 years ago in a small way, and we did a bunch of stuff with them in New York for that Indy with Rahal. And then they decided they wanted to make a big splash last year, and boy, did they make a big splash. And it was awesome. And I think that just like that lit a fire under me to want to do all the cool things. I'm in that, as you mentioned, I'm in that stage of my career where I could go to the Chili Bowl and do that. I can drive a ARCA car, a NASCAR. I can kind of pick and choose some things that are on my bucket list. I mean, I still have some things on my bucket list, like Bathurst is still there, Le Mans. But really, I'm trying to make them proud and all the young girls, because it had such a profound impact, not just on me, but on so many people last year at Indy, that this is what it could be, because there was that girl power movement. You know, I felt it. Everybody felt it. e.l.f. felt it. It won awards. Their activation and their marketing won awards for
2
doing the
Clios.
500
Yep,
week.
at the big annual
Yeah.
marketing there, the Clio Awards. Took home 2 awards,
Uh-huh.
which was phenomenal.
Right. And so it's like, okay, let's do it for the girls. It's the first time that they've been advertised to as well, like to a product that they can relate to. So they're not buying, I don't know, spanners, right?
Hmm.
They use e.l.f. Everybody uses e.l.f. e.l.f. is a cult brand as it is. It's a really great brand that I'm very proud to represent. And so it just worked. And I'm so excited about what it's been and what's to come.
Want to get more into what you're doing and more of what's to come, as you mentioned, but want to stay here with e.l.f. for a little bit longer. So, really fortunate, in particular, the listeners of the podcast here, a lot of amazing women who love IndyCar, love IMSA, might love Formula One, could be NASCAR, but I know for sure the two places where I spend most of my time and focus on with IndyCar and IMSA, a lot of amazing women, not just fans of the sport, but also real powerful in terms of their fandom, creating communities, welcoming each other. And there's been this cool thing that I've seen. I know you've seen it as well. In particular, coming out of the month of May last year, go to a motor race. A lot of it, if not most of it, is geared towards men. And hey, buy this tough thing and you're strong and drink alcohol and smoke stuff and, hit each other on the head with clubs and, kind of the traditional stuff. And hey, let's go to the merch tent and see what we got. Okay, there aren't many things that are made for women or women's. These are just made for men, but put over in the quote women's section, and they don't really fit, and on and on and on and on. Last year at Indy, with e.l.f., with yourself, with the pit stop setup that you had for anybody, but particularly women, to step into, it was so cool to see so many of the women that I just have all the time for and respect, fans, coming to the track, being there and talking about this and saying, I love the sport. I'm here because of it. I realize I'm still a little bit of a unicorn, women at IndyCar races and IMSA. It's not as big of a presence as we'd hope yet, but hey, I found something here that wasn't just about boys and testosterone, and it's actually something that I would enjoy. This is for me. Could you speak more about that, Kat? Because just seeing folks light up, especially the women who really love this sport as fans, going, wow, someone really thought about me all the way through, and this is a place for me to go and really sink my teeth into.
It was also a place to like celebrate fellow women, right? And I do think that there is now, instead of wanting to be the best woman or competing against other women, it's more like, okay, girl power, let's stick together, let's be a force to be reckoned with. And they did it all. I mean, we had some really cool stickers and magnets, and of course they got free makeup, and we did giveaways, and they did a drone show, and I mean, it was just all really feel good, supportive, really neat things that they did. It wasn't, it was done with a lot of thought, because they are very, very good at what they do, and they are very thoughtful. But it was also, I don't know, it just created a community. I really feel like it was something that everybody felt part of. If you were female and you were there, I don't care whether you were 12 years old or whether you were 72. You were like, this is cool. I love this. And so I was very proud of it and to represent them. And I think they felt the same way the other way around. And it just worked. Sometimes it's like finding a partner, like sometimes, or having a good engineer. Sometimes it just clicks, sometimes it clicks. Sometimes it's forced and sometimes it doesn't work. And it just worked, and it was great.
I got some great quotes, which need to use from Indianapolis Motor Speedway president Doug Bowles about this specific thing. And he said, yes, I said, hey, we saw the power of it. We saw the sustained power of it, right? So not only was this activation on the ground by e.l.f. really powerful during the month of May, but this has a bit of a sustained thing where folks are still talking about it. Wow, that was different. That was amazing. And I said, is this something you look at as the president of the place, who does have some say in vendor midway activation and how things are done? Are you looking at what e.l.f. achieved at the Speedway, maybe a bit of a blueprint to bring to other vendors and suggest, hey, here's a really high level of achievement you could strive for. Here are some of the things they did, which we thought worked. And he said, absolutely. This is what they achieved last year, something that I hope we see more of, and I'm encouraging more folks to aim that high. So I love the fact that Doug, who's awesome, but is also someone who's like, oh, no, this can't be a one and done. We got to have more folks thinking this way. So loved what was achieved.
Absolutely. And IMS have been super helpful. They saw it and they got behind it. And that's what we need, right? We need more of that. There's been other teams that have used our program last year as an example to sponsors that they're going after. I think it's shone a light into an area that was overlooked and undervalued, right? Like, I don't think many people thought about going after female related products, services, et cetera, for racing. And quite frankly, Marshall, I did, and we have been for donkey's years now. But I think it takes somebody to think outside the box, because they were all like, I don't know, we're not really marketing to other women because it's mostly men that go to the race. And you're like, no, there are now going on 40% fans that are female at Indy. It's just grown exponentially. Like, there is no reason why women can't enjoy racing as much as a dude. And so they're out there in force and they're proving it.
Last thing to add on that, unless I'm wrong and unless there's been some sort of initiative that I've totally missed, it's been organic too, right, Kat? There hasn't been like, hey, are you a woman? You can get tickets for half. No, it's just like, hey, this is cool and you're welcome. And the response has been awesome among fans. I would also say, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, I mean, I've written about it plenty of times, but on pit lane, in the garages, the amount of women who are turning wrenches and engineering and managing. We have Deborah Mayer with the Prema team, brand new team to IndyCar. What is her title? Team owner, right? I mean, so I love the fact that this is real. It's not some sort of initiative or like, it's just like, no, I was seeing the same thing in IMSA. Like, hey, you're welcome. Come on in. And the response, as you said, that 40% number. How does that not make you happy?
And actually, it makes me so happy. But you're actually a genius, because I just had a thought. And you said Doug Bowles and IMS and all the women there. And you know what we should do? We should have like a ladies' night or something at Indy on one of the days, or do something like that just to celebrate the women that are there, so that we can do more cool e.l.f. stuff and like really celebrate the fact that they're there. And maybe then they'll bring other women, and then maybe one day you guys will be outnumbered. Who knows?
Look, most of my life has been dominated by amazing women. So what is normal for me at home away from the track is abnormal for me at the track, where, apologies for a crass term, but it's been a sausage party ever since I first went to a racetrack. And so balancing that has been my genuine dream since I was a kid, of like, well, okay, when I go away from the racetrack, like half the people I meet are men and the other half are women. And some people come from this country and some people come from that country. And we all look different and think different. That is normal in real life. Why is it so strange in the place that I love most where it's not like that? And thankfully, that has been changing, I think, at a pretty rapid rate in recent years. As you pointed out, you were pretty much on an island for a long time as an active race car driver. We saw the great Lynn St. James at the WIMNA, Women in Motorsports North America conference at Daytona.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned the same thing to her, asked that question of like, Lynn, you were a unicorn for so long, trying to stoke the pride of the American woman and bring corporate America into racing. And it worked sometimes, but didn't. What's it like now walking through the garage and seeing a lot of race car drivers with their hair in ponytails, which is like the coolest flex, right? No, I'm not just cutting it short and trying to blend in. I'm going to be me, damn it. And seeing, as I mentioned, women working in so many roles, what's it like now, having been that unicorn for so long, to see we're not there yet. We're not even saying we're close, but seeing there is traction. And her response was awesome. She was happy. But same thing I would hope for you from the driver's side of it's like, okay, we're by no means there, but at least it feels like we're making real progress the last couple years to make me believe it's only going to be better and better in the coming years.
Exactly.
So you also have this crazy thing where you drive race cars. And so beyond the great stories of what sponsor activation can do at an event and for the sport and for you as an individual, tell me about the new things that you've been branching out into with e.l.f. as a partner and new opportunities, because your podcast, like, that's so cool. Want that to happen? It is happening. Great. Hey, let's go talk to Drew Barrymore on her show about this. That's amazing. And hey, we're going to go to this bizarre place where you get kind of exhaust fumes in your face all day, but let's go to the Chili Bowl and try that. And let's go to Daytona with ARCA. I don't know. It just seems like not a single door is opening for you, Kat, but like 3 or 4 and maybe even more. How's all this coming together? And are you the architect of all this, or are you just getting cool calls saying, hey, want to try this?
Oh, I wish I was getting cool calls. Like, that would be awesome. But I don't think most people understand the effort, work, blood, sweat, and tears that goes into getting these opportunities and how to put them together. Like, I feel overwhelmed most of the time. But I've been working really hard at it, and I'm surrounded by some really great people. And, the Chili Bowl came about because I was talking to Sarah Fisher at Indy last year, and she said that I should do it. And I was like, I've watched the Chili Bowl. It's so cool. I want to do some dirt racing. I think it'll make me a better driver. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to get many opportunities to go and do something so unique and cool. And it's the flagship kind of dirt race and midget race for sure. And I thought, why not? I mean, you only live once, right? I'll give it a go. And it was so much fun, honestly. I learned a ton. I think it's made me a better driver, made some friends, it was harder than I thought it was going to be, as it normally is. But the same thing, like, okay, I've been lucky that I have had media opportunities over my career, and that has been down to the fact that I've been female and I'm stuck out like a sore thumb sometimes. But I've had enough disadvantages that I'm not going to apologize for the advantages that I got from it.
I love that. I love that.
And so, like, going on Drew's show, I mean, she is the coolest. I love her so much. I literally want to be her bestie. Like, she was so nice and so sweet. I want to be like, hey, do you want to hang out? Oh, that would be so cool. But she was awesome. And so I've got a lot of opportunities like that through people like Clint, who owns Branded, who actually brought e.l.f. on board. So that came through that. And obviously the podcast came through iHeart Women's Sports, and iHeart were partnering with us through what they do with e.l.f.
Clint Briney, long time PR rep, personal rep and such. Yeah. Good guy who's been around for a good while.
Yeah, exactly. And so they've got iHeart Women Sports on the iHeart Radio, and they thought it would be cool to have a female race car driver, and that's me, and I wanted to do the podcast. So I was like, yes, sign me up. This will be awesome. I don't know whether I'm going to be any good at it or not. It's a new skill that I'm learning. For those of you out there, like, Marshall, it's not as easy as you probably think it is. You just like season it at it now that it just kind of comes naturally to you. It does not come that naturally to me. I hope it will one day, but it's a lot of fun doing it.
I can't figure out why anybody would want to listen to anything I say. That's never gone away. This is my 10th year doing this. This will be, I think yesterday posted episode 1,576, and I still feel like I'm total crap, and I have no idea when anybody listens. No, but I'm telling you, like, at least for me, I have no idea. Like, that's never gone away. Like, yeah, that's right. I got a podcast. Ever tell you how cool I am? I'm just going to talk into a microphone and everyone's going to love it. No, it's the opposite. In the back of my head, it's like, no one gives a crap. Shut up. Stop now. But
okay, I think that, but then I take it to the next level because I cannot listen to myself. I can't hear my own voice. I literally can't. It's like nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I get paid to speak into microphones a lot, whether it's podcast or video or otherwise. So I've had to, I just drink a lot, Kat. Let's just be honest. I get so drunk before this stuff. I don't even remember, but you'll be fine. The more, again, like many things in life, frequency will breed familiarity. And again, you're fine. And you bring a lot of fun and character to things too. And you've never been the super guarded, everything must be absolutely perfect and polished. Like, no, who wants to listen to that nonsense? I'd rather listen to someone who's just real. You know, I leave in the mistakes.
Authentic.
Yeah, I leave the mistakes in my show because guess what? That's me. I'm the most mistake-ridden fool you'll ever meet. So you doing this, again, was so happy to hear when you were doing that because it's a perfect for you. It's not perfect for everybody. Not everybody you and I know in this sport should be doing podcasts or whatever, but perfect fit for you. So tell me a little more about this because between everything you're trying to achieve as a driver, you're working right now, traveling, doing some other things. I mean, you do have a pretty busy schedule. What's the goal here frequency-wise to try and get podcasts out? And do you think you'll ramp up the frequency if you have the opportunity to do so?
No. So it's every week, and that's already a lot. Like we just today, actually, the Papa Leg one, the episode with my dad, which obviously I love.
Yeah, your dad's the best.
And so, isn't he? Like, I swear that's why people keep me around because everybody loves my dad. I honestly the luckiest person on the side of the planet that I have the dad that I have because he's so awesome. And if you listen to the podcast, you'll find out why.
Well, but for folks who don't know, you do not see Kat at a motor racing venue without her dad. Like I can barely think of a time where I haven't seen him at least once during an event. And this is going back decades. I mean,
20 years.
How cool is that? Again, that usually that wears off, right? All right. Seen enough of I might show up for Indy. I might show up for this big event, but no, your dad is down. So anyways, just really cool there. Well, that's awesome to hear. Let's talk about racing to close. So ARCA coming up here. We just got through the Rolex 24 at Daytona. January at Daytona is sports cars. We get into February. Daytona is about stock cars. Tell me about this opportunity because it seems like you are game for anything.
Yes, I am. And again, it's making me a better driver. And actually, it's been one of the coolest experiences that I think I've ever done because I went New Year's Eve. We were celebrating Spencer Pompelli's 50th birthday in Asheville, North Carolina. And Andy Lally, as you know, good friend of mine, also drove a bunch of stock cars, was pretty decent at it. And I said, I have to go to Charlotte and make a seat for the soccer team. He's like, I'll go with you. I know what I'm talking about. So he went with me, told me where I needed to sit and like all the good stuff. But the team, yeah, it was so cool. The team were awesome. Like, I cannot tell. I honestly turned up for the seat fit. They were organized. They were on it. Everything went so smoothly. I was like, this is weird. Like, this never happens. Like, what's going on? This is like I'm living in an alternate universe. Like, everything went so smoothly and I loved everybody. They were fantastic. And I'm like, this is cool. We went to the test in Daytona. Same thing. Like, everybody was super nice. They were super organized. The car was great. The team were great. And I'm like looking around going, okay, somebody's going to jump out and say, haha, spoof, we got you.
Mm.
We were like top of the timesheets for a bit. We were like legit in the draft, having fun. One of the best test days I've ever had. And I thought it was the coolest thing. Like, I love driving stock cars. I've driven Xfinity a handful of times a few years ago, and I wanted to get back to doing more. And in NASCAR, you need to like earn a license, right? So I'm qualified in NASCAR's eyes to drive on road and street courses, and then probably the short ovals in lower powered cars. But you can't just show up and go, hey, you know what? I want to do the Daytona 500, because NASCAR will go, haha, you're funny. Unless you're Elio Castroneves, in which case they're like, yeah, sure, we'll make up a new rule for you too.
There's this thing about having 4 Indy 500 winners rings on your fingers that that's a pretty cool pass, if you ask me. But yeah,
I know. I'm like, can I just hold on to his coattails just for a minute, please?
Can I borrow? Just give me one ring for like a month. I'll be good. But the Sigma Performance Services team, that's really cool to hear, because to your point, for a lot of folks showing up for what could be a one-off, right? Hopefully you'll be doing more, but at least in that first interaction, new team, new this, new that, it's not uncommon for these things to be a bit of a poop show. So just to hear that everything has started off quickly, knowing that you were quick in testing, but it sounds like the momentum here is right.
Well, I think you also have to earn your stripes over there, right? Like, even you look at when Danica went over and did her NASCAR 4A, AJ Allmendinger too. Like, you have to prove your mettle before they will let you move up through the ranks and drive with the good teams and all that good stuff. So yes, I was thrilled, and I am thrilled, and I'm very excited about next week. I'm nervous because I'd never driven on Daytona's oval before. I mean, how many times? 12 times or something. I've done the 24 hours, and I've done like thousands of laps on the Roval, but never had I ever, not once, not even by mistake, missing the chicane, had I gone on the oval. And so that in itself was a neat experience, and I just really enjoyed it. And I hope I'm good, and I hope I'm good enough that NASCAR go, okay, now you're qualified to do the next thing and the next thing, and like I can build on that if the opportunity arises. But whatever happens, again, it's going to make me a better driver. It's increasing my resume, and who doesn't want to do these cool things? I just count my lucky chickens. That's the saying over here. It sounds awfully British. But,
I just learned about lucky chickens. I think I'd never learned. See, dang, I'm learning here too.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
I'm excited.
Let's talk about IndyCar, because I know that's where a lot of your fans, a lot of my listeners, boy, IndyCar is just the center of their universe. Any hint or possibility of you being in a car at the 500 in particular, that just sends folks into a lot of folks into a state of rapture. You obviously haven't announced anything. I wouldn't expect you to break any news here, but I hear in the background that, there's some possibilities. Obviously, last year you were with Dale Coyne Racing. How are things coming along in getting back to the 500, hopefully with e.l.f.? Is Dale an option? Are there other teams that are options? I'm hoping you have multiple options. What's going on there?
Oh, I wish we had multiple options. That would be a nice place to be in. We are actively working on it, and I hope to be. But having said that, we're very limited at the moment, and this is just probably being more honest than I should be. But there are all the full-time teams and drivers that are allocated an engine, right? Yeah. So you've got your full-time drivers with the series that are going to do what they're going to do. And then you've only got, like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 other teams that have been allocated engines by the manufacturers, because both Chevy and Honda have said, no, we're making 18 or whatever it is. And now Prima have come in. They've taken 2 of those kind of off the table. And with the new hybrid system, there's a reluctance to make more, put more cars out there. So the 2, 3, or 4 that there may be.
To
Like
non-full-time teams at full-time teams
non-full-time teams.
that aren't necessarily,
Yep.
yeah, some of them are fielding extra cars. Most of them
Yep.
already have drivers slotted into those full-time cars. So just to your point,
Yeah,
you want to be there. I'm sure e.l.f. wants to be
100%.
there.
100%.
It's kind of like trying to buy a house and you go, well, there's a group of us and there's like 1 or 2 houses left on the big long block. Will I be able to get it? It's not a case of desire. It's, will there be anything freaking available to use?
I will fight you for it, by the way. If anybody's going out there, I'm not against that.
I love it. The people's elbow and all kinds of stuff coming at you to get Kat in the car. What do you think?
I know, but you would think that you would think the series and the manufacturers and the teams and everybody would want e.l.f. back, and they would want that whole ball to keep rolling, and they'd want, obviously, me. I don't mean I think I'm a small cog in this, but I've just got to think that there is enough there that we can make it happen.
Many fingers crossed. Last thing, I've heard rumor, I don't know if there's any truthiness to this, but I've heard that if all goes well at Daytona, NASCAR says, Katherine Legge, come on down. You indeed are the winner of a brand new competition license to drive on big fun ovals. If we can get you into the Indy 500, if things go well here at Daytona, I've heard mention possibly of could Kat try and do the famed double Indy 500, what we used to call the Coca-Cola 600. I don't know if Coca-Cola still sponsors it, but that big 600-mile race at Charlotte, is that a dream, an aspiration? I don't know if folks are telling me silly things that aren't true, but the idea of doing the double sounds amazing.
Oh, that does sound amazing. And I would love to. I think that would be a really, really cool thing to do. I think we've probably got to take it one step at a time and see how we're going to get there. I want to do all of the things, Marshall. I want to do Daytona 500. I want to do Coca-Cola 600. I want to do more NASCAR. I want to do more IndyCar. I want to do more sports cars. I'm non-discriminatory. Discriminatory. I think that it would be very cool. I'm no Kyle Larson. I wish I was. I watched him at the Chili Bowl, and in that moment, I felt very insignificant. And just in awe of the amount of talent that he has. But you know what? Wouldn't that be cool? I think that would be cool. So I never say never. Let's put it like that.
You got all the right things happening in your world, Kat. So happy for you. Obviously, hoping we get to see you in IndyCar in all the things that you said you want to do. Assuming everything goes well and we get you in the Indy 500. I am hosting. I was asked back for the 2nd year in a row hosting the last row party.
Let's hope I'm not there again.
I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you there again, Kat. So let's hope we get you there. Let's hope you don't see my monkey ass and everything else keeps going well for you. And I know many of us are going to be keeping an eye fixed on Daytona here and hope that all goes well there. Thanks for spending some time.
Appreciate you, Marshall. And if I'm not in the last row club, then we'll just get a beer somewhere else and celebrate the fact that I'm not. How's that? You
tell me when girls' night is happening, and I'll be the boy just sitting outside on my own drinking a beer celebrating. So you can look after our purses. I've found a reason, a purpose in life, guarding purses. Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Marshall.